You are now listening to Artists at Work.
Artists at Work.
Artists at Work.
What's up, everyone? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Artists at Work podcast. I'm your host, 1am.
I'm Isaias.
And we have a special guest here with us today.
Señor Gigio. What's up, y'all?
Señor Gigio, my homie.
He blessed us in the space. All right.
Right on.
And the first homie to come through to the apartment.
Man, it's an honor.
Thank you for coming through. Let's get it started with letting everyone know who is Señor Gigio? Who are you?
Well, I'm a San Francisco Bay Area based hip hop artist, multifaceted, but it starts with emceeing, but it goes into my love of music, singing, songwriting, then of course the visual arts too, cartoonist, artist, animator, just all around entertainer, and I like to see myself as a storyteller. And I've been pursuing music since I was a kid. I've been an artist since I was a tiny little kid, since I was like 5. I was a really good cartoonist, and just seems like it was always a part of my, calling naturally to be an artist, to express myself. And just so happened that rap and hip hop is just became my main medium of expression, and that's where I really found my voice and found my platform and how I could relate to people, early on as a kid.
Wow. Can you explain your name real quick?
Yeah.
Señor Gigio. So my real name, my birth name is Gigio, and actually, like, and I've had different rap names. I'm not going to get into the ones I had as a kid, like that's if you know, but I really don't even want you to know if you know it. But when I got out of high school, by then I just started running with my real name, Gigio, as my rap name. But, I guess getting married 2017, in that time, I really was just shifting my identity and just how I wanted to carry myself and be more professional, and also make a distinction between like my artist life and my personal life. And so I donned the Spanish honorific Señor, also as a tribute to my Spanish heritage, which, like we were talking earlier, like a lot of people don't know. Some people do, some people don't, some
I was
people,
gonna
some
say, let
people
them
can
know
tell,
where
but a
you're
lot of
from.
people don't, it's okay. They think I'm a white boy. That's all right. I'll eat that too, but I'm half Puerto Rican, half Nicaragüense. So
You would never know.
I apparently some people would never know. That's okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just culturally speaking though, if you were to see my biological father, he looks like a white man, that's because they're very Spanish, they're like Spaniard, pale. And then my mother, they're dark. But I recently did my my ancestry
Okay, yeah.
DNA stuff. So, I got bloodlines from Central America, South America, Africa, and all throughout Europe too. So it's all, I think I got 3 parts of the world there.
Wow. So you definitely can't judge a book by its cover.
You can't.
And Señor Gigio is a man full of character.
I think your book is like a coloring book, bro. Like, I mean, literally, like this, I got, well, for people who are watching, but he gave me the exact album cover art, like the physical, like he drew
The original.
the original.
Here we go.
Yep.
How did that come about? Because like we're gonna talk about your music, but like when did you start embracing your art? Because I remember there was a story you had told me, but I want to share that because I think that's pretty important.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like my first gift that I was able to recognize and that others were able to recognize and like kind of give me a pat on the back for was drawing. When I was like 5, I was like pretty good at drawing. Like if you were to go back and look at some of those drawings, like it was on point with the cartoons, so at the time the stuff I was drawing was like Looney Tunes, Ninja Turtles, a lot of the Disney characters. stuff like that, Nickelodeon cartoons. And I guess as a child, and I remember being in the first grade, like I felt pretty weird, and I definitely felt kind of like, like, all right, like misunderstood by some of the boys. But when the kids discovered that I could draw really good, then it was like automatically like, oh, Gigio, can you draw this for me? So then it was like a thing, But that was like my first thing. And yeah, later on, I guess in high school, I was I had different mediums going on that I was playing with. One was, I would still draw, but I was more kind of like personal, it became more like, you just sketch, it's just something that you do for your brain to exercise.
Right.
Um, then I was also involved in theater, so I used to do theater. I used to do the high school plays and also some of the community youth plays around there. And I grew up in Fairfield, Suisun, California area. And so I was pretty good as an actor too. I would get lead roles. And then also at the same time, I was like making a reputation for myself as a rapper locally and also like on campus at Fairfield High. So more as I got older, getting closer to like graduating, I just fell more and more in love with rap. And eventually I was like, I don't want to act anymore, because even though I was good at it, I didn't want to memorize nothing else and nobody else had to give me. I don't want to memorize. I didn't want to do blocking. I didn't want to do rehearsal. I just wanted to do my own thing. So in my mind at the time, I was like, none of it made sense. You had to choose one or the other. Now in hindsight, I feel like, I probably could have like made a way to figure out all of it if I really wanted to. But and I put down my drawing for a long time. And actually it was, I want to say like in 2013, one of the things that had happened was through working with different graphic artists to design my cover art, I just kept feeling like people wouldn't come through when I wanted them to. And I had a deadline, and then just out of necessity, I drew my own artwork, and it just felt really good. And then also, and something about that and me capturing my own vision and illustrating it, being able to get my own style into it, something about that just communicated something to people,
Yeah.
to the people who wanted the album. And I just began to refine that more. And it definitely like goes hand in hand with what I do, like,
because you do comic books now, and like, with your wife, you do the buttons.
yeah.
You know what I mean? What was that first album cover or the cover art that you did?
The Bohemian Behemoth. So that was like,
That's the one I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I put that out, I want to say I put that out in 2014. So I put that out officially in 2014. And that was like the first project that I completely, poured myself into with all the visual art and put my own style into it, and just kept getting better, with it, just, became a process of every time I had an album, that I was working on, there ended up on the other side being the visual, process to that too. So I would say that I put just as much time and thought into the illustrative aspect of it too, of like having that physical album and seeing the art. And then even now it's like, if people aren't necessarily like getting the physical album, it's still like, oh wow, you see a picture, it's a cool picture with his art, online or whatever, so.
And your t-shirts
And
too,
my
like-
t-shirts too. Yeah, I do my own art, right, on my shirts and all that stuff too. That's true.
Those what is that jacket? They had like Frida Kahlo and like other characters, right?
Yep.
That one I remember we saw at the Oakland show. That one, people were copping that one like
Right.
real quick. They were like, "Let me get it."
Right.
Nice. So that's cool to see your artwork flourish
Thank
Yeah.
you.
on the products.
Yeah, no, it's been a blessing to do that. And doing all those things is just helped me be expressive. And especially because I feel like there's so much I can do in rap, and so much that I want to convey in rap, that I'm trying to convey like in rap or in my music, that when people see the art, it helps them understand like where I'm coming from or where the vision could be going. It's almost kind of like it's like a guide to like how to take in this information.
Yeah, or even just to follow along with the album too. It's kind of fun.
Right, that
No,
too, just to follow along with the album. Yeah, I love that. I love that personally, you know?
I think one of the important things that I want to highlight too is that you've been doing this for a really long time, and I want to emphasize on your story of how you got started with music and how that's led you to where you are now. Including some of the life choices that has made you, because you consider yourself you're an independent artist, right?
Mhm.
So, um, kind of share about your journey about how did you get started making music and how has that led you to where you are now, putting out all this music.
For sure. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So when I was a kid, when I was 9, I started playing around with recording, and I was recording, learning how to record myself then and do a little rap then, you know, but at the time it just was strictly just for silly play. It was nothing I was taking serious, or I envisioned myself as like, oh, I'm going to be a rapper. It's just like a little kid just playing, you know, it was fun. But when I want to say started getting a little bit older, like in the more like junior high, you know, 6th grade, 7th grade, listening to music became more of a like had more importance, you know, with us as kids. So maybe in a way I'm also just going along with what my friends are like, where they're paying their attention to. And that's something I could get behind. You know, I wasn't really into sports and all of that, but like, oh, y'all are listening to rap, y'all are going deep into this. I can do that. I can listen to that. So some of the artists at the time that were like prevalent, people like Eminem, uh, who else? Nas. There's so many dope artists at the time. Big Pun. But listening to those artists at the time made me realize that there was something more to this music, you know, which was always kind of like in the background. Like, you know, I was familiar with it. I listened to rap, but like never listened like listening to an album
Mm.
and, you know, having that experience of like of what an album could do and what it could teach or what it could impart. And those experiences made me think that I could be a good rapper and that I could tell a story. And that was some of the things that really interested me. Like mainly it was Nas and Eminem too. But I really enjoyed their storytelling, and I loved the power of how they could tell a story and make you feel all these things. So I wanted to be a storyteller, and that's what drew me into rap initially. And then when I got into high school, I started making a reputation for myself because I was already in the habit of recording my own music. So I was recording my music, and I was pressing up my CDs, burning them, making the little silly stomp art for it, you know, the and then going around campus and selling my CDs, you know, making money and making a reputation for myself around campus, and battling, freestyling with other rappers on campus. And pretty much from that point, I just never stopped. But it definitely, you know, there's so many parts even to just that story, like the high school story. But then I get into, you know, coming out of high school. What am I going to do with my life now? It's always just been the constant thing. Like no matter what it was that I was going through, like having that creative expression and that music, you know, to come back to regardless of what I was going to, has always just been the constant. And I definitely always wanted to pursue it and have some kind of like career in it, and maybe not necessarily with any type of mentorship or guidance or like clear cut path on how to get there or how to do it. But, you know, it was in my mind. And even when my life was pretty hard, I still kept it, you know, and I still kept doing it, and I still kept treating that part of me. And um, I would say that when things started to make a shift, like when I started to really like become more established and get out there and become known, um, was I formed this group called Associated Fresh that was around 2006, 2007. It was 4 members. It was me. It was my boy Drendo, all key and fluent, and also we're all like multicultural. So you had me, I was the Latino boy, or the white, or in this case the white looking Latino boy. And then you have my boy Drendo. He's half white, half Filipino. My boy Jamar, half Filipino, half Vietnamese, and then my homie Fluent, he's a black brother, and we just were like raw underground hip hop, collective MCs, sample diggers, and just dope rappers. And after a while we became making we got to make a name for ourselves locally, doing shows in San Francisco and the Bay and Sacramento and other places, and touring a little bit and getting around. Went to LA a couple times, went up to Canada, and it's just been a nonstop journey since, and but a lot of the that's really how I started getting myself out there. And since like that group is no longer it's not like functioning like that, like we're all still friends and we keep in touch. But other than that, like I just kept going because it's really what I wanted, was to be able to actually have a career and to make money and to think that I can make a change, and all those things, and it's been an interesting journey for sure.
And it's been inspiring to watch. When did we meet him? It was
it was in Santa Cruz, right?
In Santa Cruz. I want to say it was like 2000. It was probably like I want to say it was like 2019.
Man.
Yep.
I thought it was maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Because that was like one of our last shows at the Crate.
It was at the Crate
Or
place.
There was
Yep.
like one, yeah.
That was
in
dope.
Santa Cruz.
That
by
was
the
dope.
way, the
That was
Crate
special
place
that we got to do that.
in Santa Cruz. Yeah, thanks to Con. Con was good at bringing certain artists together.
AJ. My boy AJ
he threw
from
that
Judo
show that
No.
day?
Yeah.
Judo No.
Okay.
My boy AJ. Shout out my boy AJ. But also shout out Con too.
Anthony.
But
Yeah,
shout out my boy
yeah.
AJ.
I'm confused. I thought Con threw the show.
There's
AJ.
been so many shows in Santa Cruz, but either way, it's like thank you to all those guys doing that, because you guys have been bringing all of us together, and it's just been cool to have a community. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you're more north from where we are, but now we have a community, someone to help us go through that, and you come over here and we help you, you know what I mean?
Likewise,
just
right.
staying connected.
Yep.
Since I've met you, like I told you earlier, you've always been like that artist that has like just never ever been near a box, like being like ever put in a box. You never been looking at a box. Like you're just so creative. So
You can't put him in a box.
you can't put him in a box. Like, can you just, if you had to describe your music to someone who never listened to it, how would you describe your music?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I feel that I'm very eclectic. Even though it's rap, and I feel like I rap really good. I feel like I mastered the art of rapping, the art of flowing, the art of making your voice sound good, whether live or in the booth. But I love music. So music is important to me too, a big part of my hip hop journey has been to like love music too, like not just rap but music, and to be able to make something. Some of the ideas I used to have when I started seeing, like early on in my early 20s, like wow, this could be something that I think actually I can make. I think this can go somewhere. Some of those early ideas I used to have was like, I want to make an album, or I want to make music that not just hip hop fans could appreciate, but something that like somebody who loves music universally could also appreciate too. At the very least, even if you don't like rap, even if you don't like hip hop, you'll be able to sit there and listen to the song and be able to like respect the quality of the music, and that there's a skill that goes into it. So I've always tried to be very eclectic, and it's ever changing, it's evolving. I talk about a lot of different stuff, so it gets pretty out there, I guess, but
It's original though. Like,
thank you.
There's nothing like it, really.
Thank you. It's just like deprogramming. It's like deprogramming vibes. You listen to it, it'll hopefully change your brain frequency. That's what I hope.
Definitely. I remember when we first introduced to you, and then like not hearing your music, and then hearing your music, it was hard to like get into at first, but you're just like such a different kind of artist. And I see like you don't like, you know how you say you're in theater, like not knowing that, but now knowing that, I can see how that comes out in your music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm not just gonna put words on a song. Like that's the last thing you're gonna do.
Yeah.
You're actually gonna try to create some sort of experience, which you do with your drawings, and that shows through your music. And then now once you get to know yourself, Señor Gigio, as an artist and a person, then it makes more sense. So as we're like getting to know you more now, it's like, okay, now I understand the music more.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty awesome to think like how much power there can be like in the space of a song, and just what we can do with that, in that space, how much life you can put into it, how much passion. So I'm definitely a very dramatic, theatrical person when it comes to the music. It can feel larger than life because I just feel like the act of making music is pretty larger than life anyways.
Yeah.
Same with performing too.
Performing, yep.
Big. Yeah, the one thing I want to say too is I think your music, because I'm sure your music has always had content, right? That's by intent, to make sure there's a message, right? An underlying message or a theme. But now I feel like your music's getting much more intentional and like maybe more direct. So your lyrics are kind of evolving to match your message that you want to get out.
Thank you.
So it's like basically you're evolving and maturing, through your music.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I value that, like I value being able to like be more direct and talk about things that are more, I guess more like life here on earth oriented, because I can get out there, I know that's a part of, I can go out there with my imagination. I can go to all the planets. I can go to different kingdoms and fantasy worlds, which, I love that about music too, because, I think it's important to, just the power of creation, to be able to create space, go to different places,
Definitely. Wow.
I have another question regarding like your music, because this is always, I think this is on a lot of artists' minds sometimes, or in the back of the minds when we're creating. It's like, because you're highly creative and you know how to put out quality, but you also put out a lot of quantity. What are your thoughts on like the quality versus quantity thing, and then how do you maintain that relationship?
Yeah, well, I love that you asked that question, because it's something that, yeah, I'm stoked you asked that question. Like I respect where people are coming from when they say quality over quantity, because I understand what they're speaking on. It's not about, and you can say that about anything. It's not about how much you got in the bank. It's about how well are you living your life, but in relation to music, there's like this idea that like it's not about how much you got out there, it's making sure that the music is on point, kind of thing. But I do, I am like a radical, musically I'm like a radical. So I like to take the conversation and be like, okay, that's where the conversation's been like this all along, but I like to flip shit on its head, turn it out, throw it out, and start a new conversation. So I like to say, how about quality in quantity? So why not have both? Why did they have to go against each other just because there's a QUA there? You know what I'm saying? But so on some music stuff, or even on some creative stuff as artists, if I'm saying I'm an artist, I'm a musician, that means that's what I'm doing. I'm making art, I'm making music like every day. That should be like a daily thing, ideally, that I should be doing this every day, and that I should have something to show for it. Especially like here I am, 35 going on 36. I've been making music and making art since I was a little kid. I should have something to show for that, what I mean? And especially for like if this is what I'm trying to show, like people who I want interested to like come check out what I'm doing, you know, I think that we're able to do that. We are able to do it. You know, it gets to a point, you know, it's not like it was always quality, but we get to know ourselves
Yeah.
through doing this long enough and by putting yourself out there long enough too. And the one thing I want to say to like anybody out there, or even challenge people who might think that way, like, you know what? Everything you do is not always going to be your best work, but you might not learn if you didn't just put it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, learn from it. Like, just because you put something out and it wasn't quality, you know, maybe you wouldn't have known that if you sat on it and didn't get the feedback or didn't see the result. You know, maybe that's a part of it, you know, is just being able to like take the L, look goofy, and learn from it. You know, like a big part of my journey going back to when I was a kid was just being willing to go out there and look silly and rap, especially when I was in high school, because at that time, and this is like 2001 to 2005, the only kids that would rap out loud in public were black kids. So me, I literally, you know, I'm like the only one in my high school that would rap with the black kids, be like, I'm gonna rap with y'all, and they would clown me, and and you know, they would clown me hard because I was coming whack, but I needed to hear that. And even though I didn't like how they said it to me, like whatever, but I got down to the to the key thing of what they meant whenever they cussed me out or whatever, whenever they laughed in my face, and I went back home. I was like, all right, you know, let me take that. All right, they're saying that I'm whack because my flow is offbeat. All right, let me figure that out. Just because you're not quality, do it and learn from it, you know. And over time, I feel like we can get to a point where like it can be quality, and we can produce enough quality stuff to where it's like boom, quantity, you know. And not to say that that's all there is, but you know, it's just something. I just want to put that out there just to challenge people. And that's not to say that I'm always going to be working and releasing music at this pace right now, but while I got it, I'm a flaunt it. You know what I'm saying? While I'm doing it, I'm gonna do it, because we only get so much time, you know, to be like this. You know what I'm saying? There might come a time in the future where I'm gonna have to slow down and go inward, or you know, whatever, but at least I'll have enough work out there for that time, that you know, that for me too, that I can go back and listen to. And then for anybody else that needs to have that too, it's for them also, you know. So that's my take on that.
Thank you for answering that,
For
because
sure.
I mean, yeah, like well said.
Yeah, that's interesting because some people are either this or that.
Yep.
But yeah, that makes perfect sense as well, because that kind of reminds me of like J. Cole, like before he you know, like his career took off, because he was like, we need to be rapping every day, and basically improving the craft, like, so that shows just the hustle, where your dedication is, and then yeah, that quality over quantity, pushing yourself through the bad songs just to get to the few good songs, and then maybe going back to a few kind of bunk songs.
Yeah, then
So
then
that's important
sometimes it'd
though.
be the song that you think that you didn't like be the one that hits, that be the one that connects with people, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
because
true.
that's the other part of being an artist. The other part of being an artist is not just what you do when you're alone. Like, you know, we're great masterminds all by yourselves. You know, we're the most introverted people. We don't, you know, we to ourselves don't need anybody. But on some professional you know, shit, like the other part of being an artist is like getting more experience in relating to people and being able to communicate with people, receive feedback, and then also challenge people directly to be like, oh, you didn't like that, well, you know, like have conversations. You know, that's the other part of where I feel like these songs and these ideas can like lead us. You know, it's not just about the song like, that wasn't it. It was like, well, let's have a conversation about it then.
Yeah.
You know?
That kind of ties into what I was going to ask you about, because you know, mentioning, saying like, you know, people straight up telling you that you're whack, you know,
Yeah.
even when you're younger, but like even now too. I mean, it's that nobody is immune to any of that. Like, so what is your process on taking negative feedback and like, you know, working through it and just moving forward?
That's a good question. I mean, it just depends, like, and then also the other thing too is like I feel like we get more seasoned off of doing this just because like, and we do become more seasoned doing this, like, and I'm still getting seasoned, I'm still getting out there, but I've had a lot of experience, I've gotten to travel to different places, I've gotten to go to different countries, got to travel across the freaking country, seeing rappers in all kinds of different places and cities and towns and do things like this, interviews, all that kind of stuff, and also see my peers accelerate and have success too. Like all those things also season us too when we get to see like our peers like excel. So, with that being said, like I feel like I've got a good gauge for like when somebody is being like truthful with, and being constructive. Like there's a thing as constructive criticism, and like I like embrace that. Like I embrace constructive criticism, I embrace critique, and also like I can accept that like not everything is for everybody. Like I know, like you said, like my music is out there, it's out the box, like it's not for everybody, and I'm okay with that. But when people are just going out of their way to hate, I got an issue with that.
Yeah.
Like I do have an issue with that, like if you're just going out your way to like jump in my face and just hate, I don't respect that. That's not tight to me. It's not fresh. It's not hip hop. It's not professional.
Yeah.
you know?
Wow, that's a good thing for like artists or just anyone out there trying to find their way in whatever their field or thing or job is, whatever they're trying to get out of life. That because earlier when we were at the table, yeah, you had mentioned like you had to break away from like jobs and you had to like just kind of quit, but it wasn't like again by necessity or survival, but you were soul searching, so you had to find out. Like you want to find out who you are, right?
Yeah.
Put yourself under pressure, but just to bring yourself out, find your identity, and that's what that sounds like. Is it necessary for artists to do? Is stand behind their music while they're like basically figuring out who they are, and I
Right.
think the
Yeah.
music's gonna help you find that, right? That's the whole point, is to find your voice, find your
Right.
identity. And I mean, we all can struggle, daily, but that's important to definitely hit that home, is just finding out who you are.
I
So I think
agree.
I think you're
Yeah.
doing that, and your music shows that, because yeah,
Thank
you
you.
just said like you're not scared to be out of the box or like come on stage with a costume, do
Oh,
came with
yeah.
a sword.
No, I'll come on stage dressed
That's
like a
just
knight in Oakland, pull up in Oakland. In fact,
Knights of Columbus.
rocking the sword, and did the same thing in San Jose. But things like that, like I mean, it's just like when I get an idea, I can't stop until I see the idea through and I live it, and that's what that was,
No,
you
it's definitely cool because it was like unforgettable.
That's
Like
cool.
Yeah. Like I said, it's an experience because
Mm,
like everyone can just be on stage and rap, but everyone's gonna remember you because you
man,
came up
that's so
ready to
crazy.
rock. Like, but in this whole different like take on it,
Yeah.
staying true to character, that kind of ties back into, now I understand because you were in theater,
Mm-hmm.
that mindset of like not just like, it's not being over creative, it's just being like you're actually just being what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no question like of you pretending to be anyone. You're
Right.
just being your true authentic self, and that's what I really respect
Thank
about
you.
you. One of the cool things that I wanted to bring up when you guys were sitting at the table that I've always wanted to ask you was about, like, they say don't quit your day job, like,
Yeah.
for this stuff,
Right.
but you did.
Yep.
Tell us about that, and how do you sustain yourself on your art?
Yes, that was 10 years ago. And you know, for me at the time, I was going through a lot of different things with my job. And basically they weren't, just to sum it up, to give this version of the story, which is real, but they weren't treating me right. They weren't giving me what I needed and what I deserved. And when I finally had some time off, it was like something clicked in my brain, where that first week of just having alone time, I drew. That was actually like my first like time like drawing. And when I was sat there drawing, I was like realizing like, wow, I'm really good. Dang, I really like this. And I was like, oh no, I can't go back to work. I'm never going back. It was like it was like my body changed in that moment. And I just knew what every ounce of being that refused to go back to work. And it's all been very spiritual too, like the nature of my work and what I do as an artist, from early on, from especially from that point when I started becoming more conscious and more intentional and more like really trying to like have a concrete relationship with that part of myself, with that part of life. It's been central to everything that I do. So I want to speak to that too, that like at the same time of like making those decisions to want to take care of myself and do what I love at the same time, like you're thrusting yourself into the unknown, and the unknown is God. It goes hand in hand, and it's been a journey ever since. And there's been a lot of room for growth, some error, but not really too much. I've always been like one way or the other, just really been able to tap into my environment, tap into resources, around me, and also create situations for myself where I could have a roof over my head and afford it,
Mm-hmm.
Which have on paper they've, it's been an unconventional way of living for sure, but it's worked out and I've made it happen since then. And I've also gotten better at it too, because it's like, starting out to do something like that, like I said, like coming into a lot of this from pursuing music to being an artist to being a man to being a professional, just period in life. Like I never really had like that kind of guidance or mentorship or somebody pushing me in that direction. I had to figure it all out like myself. I've gotten better at it too, like it's become more stable, it's become more grounded, but a lot of it has been with embracing a certain way of just living and being present, being present in the moment, being present with God, being honest with yourself, and being honest with people around you too about who you are, what you're trying to do, and what you're hoping to create. And it's almost kind of been like a cycle of different, situations that have happened where, anytime I needed to do something or that I was being called to do something, like in an effort to push my career forward, whether it was like, for instance, like in 2015, I went to Japan, I went out there for a month, out my backpack. It was always like I lined things up, or, maybe it's a collaboration between me and God and the universe, that the money happened. It's just always like the thing that I'm reminded of even now as I'm about to go on a couple journeys. I'm set to go to Oregon, I'm set to go to New York City, set to go to South Dakota. But every time I make the decision, the money always happens and it always aligns itself the way it needs to. That's just been the theme, and it's like the money is not so much the most important part. And sometimes I think I'm doing one thing and I'm doing another thing. So sometimes I think I'm going to do something and I think that I'm hitting a wall, but actually I'm not. It's because I'm meant to be over here at another place with other people and connecting with other people who I need to. And all of that stuff comes around full circle. Now I'm being able to look at, now from doing this long enough and still looking forward to decades more of doing this. But, now I'm starting to being able to see like stuff that even that I did as a teenager, as a kid, and connections that I made back then, and the impressions that I had on other children, because you're a teenager, you're a kid, come back and bless me now. And starting to see these connections come to fruition in different ways, starting to see, artists, who I never thought that I would have like such a cool connection with, and being able to do stuff with them, whether it be people like Versol, people like you, people like Sun Yoga, and just being able to really form and forge these relationships, like I'm starting to see it all come back around.
That's cool.
It's really jumping into the unknown. It's really been like one big jump into the unknown,
On faith.
on
some
faith. Yep.
Yep.
And I've had my ups and downs with it, like there have been points where I've just been flying so high, like not reckless, but careless, in a way, like, because I knew that it was all working, so I've just rode it, and flew so high. But at the same time, I got a little older, so there's different stages with that too. There have been times where I didn't know if it was working out or not, but it was working out because I was okay.
Yeah.
Because bills were paid, because food was we were able to eat, never owed nobody no money. You never had to rip nobody off, you know what I'm saying? Never had to do nothing to take from nobody. Just always got to live minimal too, in a way, which is a blessing. And just to have what we needed, which was everything and more, and still make my music,
Yeah. And I think for a lot of independent artists that can hear that and appreciate that. And I know like so many people, not just in music, but a lot of people want to be able to follow their dreams and live off their dreams and be able to have that balance versus working something that they're not passionate about, and they just don't feel alive. What is some advice that you can give to people that are interested in particularly being an independent artist, and some advice on how to go about, I guess, making the right decisions on, should I quit my job? Should I, not? Like, how can you give some advice on that for independent artists?
Well, all of these things and it all becomes one big like dance with life and with the art and with music. And it's funny how it all comes back to, in a way where we're like the focal point where we begin this conversation is with the music. But I just tell people, like, be as real as you can with yourself, with your feelings, with your heart, with the way that people make you feel, with the way that you want to feel. Be as real as you can with life, and be real with God. And then also be willing to let life and God and spirit, whatever it is you want to call that, but be willing to let that be real with you too, because the thing about this creative space and this artist space, I mean, essentially just, like, we have great imaginations, and it's a beautiful thing, but like we got to be real too. We got to be reality based. And just because we can create something out of nothing, doesn't mean that it's all about us. Just because we're able to, make amazing things happen doesn't mean that we're the greatest thing on the planet, or that we're the star. I just feel like if you want to be good at something and you want to be true to it, you want to be true to the path, and let it be true to you, and see what's revealed, and let that inform you on what your moves will be, because whatever it is that you need to do or that you should do might not be what I had to do, but all these things are interconnected. Just because you're talented and just because you're a savvy business person, doesn't guarantee you anything. Just because you can rap dope or make some dope beats doesn't guarantee you anything. I feel like having this kind of life and to be able to thrive at this kind of like level, it really goes like across all areas of your life. Like, don't expect to have like to have a true path in music, and then you're cheating on your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or something. You got to be real with everyone. Only allow realness into your life, and don't allow anybody to lie to you. And don't allow yourself to lie to nobody. And that also goes hand in hand with like, what do you want? Be real about it. Quit faking it and go for it. And if you're not good enough or whatever, or you need to work on it, let life teach you that and learn from it and be real with it, because those are things that I had to learn myself. Just because I was kind of good doesn't mean nothing. I gotta learn how to get better.
So much wisdom, and I appreciate.
Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing all of that.
Yeah, I have a lot to say too, but I'm just I'm on a similar path too on my entrepreneurial journey, being self-employed. And yeah, like he said, it's like being thrust into the darkness. It's like it's a leap of faith, walking by faith, not by sight. Like you don't know what tomorrow's gonna be like, but you have like somewhat of a plan and a setup, and you just have to follow that and see where that takes you. Out of curiosity, just with your passion. That's what I was thinking when you said that. Is like the trust your craft, like really trust the process.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Hell,
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Señor Gigio.
I
Right
want
on.
you to just, you don't have to go all in depth, but I want you to just give some advice to some of the younger artists, because especially like in the school setting, because I recently graduated. There's a lot of young kids that want to be, in the music realm, right? But they just don't necessarily grasp the concept or the importance of networking. Can you kind of give a little bit of advice and explain how that works and what that looks like in real life independent terms?
For sure. I mean, networking is everything. Stepping out of your bubble, out of your comfort zone, out of your space. Like, to all the kids, like, don't just let people gas you up. Because that's how dreams die. That's when you take whatever spark of greatness you had and you just let it fizzle out with a few people who never really were that invested in you growing. Else those people would have been pushing you to go to other places. So I mean, that was something that I started to understand and recognize early on, after graduating high school, was that okay, if I'm gonna do this, if I'm a rap and I'm gonna do this rap thing seriously, I'm not going to make it here in Fairfield, California, where there is no venues or real culture for hip hop, specifically like this brand of hip hop that I'm doing, which is lyrical, back rap, conscious, soulful hip hop. I understood that I was going to have to take trips and drive up to San Francisco, drive up to Oakland, drive up to Berkeley, drive up to other places.
San Jose.
Yep. Well, I mean, I feel like I started coming out to San Jose like really more like in the last couple of years, which I appreciate too, though, because it's cool. People are cool out here, but just being able to take those trips, like meet people, meet other artists in other cities. Go learn from them. And also I understand, because not all of us are privileged to come from like these cities like that. These cities are rich with culture, they're rich with opportunity, and they're rich with a lot more than say like a small town, just in comparison, for artists particularly. So there's a lot of opportunity there, and you get to see a different way of the world, and especially a lot of these places, like we're here in the Bay Area. It's a place rich with resource. People come here from all over the world, to travel and to network. So go to the cities, spend time in the cities, get to know some of the artists in the cities locally. That's what I started doing. And what I would say to the people who are growing up in the cities, because also I can see this like kind of like mentality play out like on the other spectrum, like, okay, like just because you're in the city and it's a little bit more popping, don't get caught there either, because unless that's what you really want, you could just do your thing and just be in the city, whatever it is, and just be that one city rapper and do all right. But like, there's so much opportunity in going to other places and going to other towns and performing at these places and bringing your music and your art to other places. And then that's when you really get to learn and see firsthand what your city has actually done for you and the way it shaped you, like, and how you get to maneuver in other places. That's my theory on it. And also, I want to say to anybody who's like peeping this from who lives, because also I understand we're in California, not other no, there's a lot of other places that aren't as hip as this. That's okay. What I will say to those artists like that, if you can't make it happen in your city, in your community, move, travel, because traveling is important. That's a big part of like the artist journey. Like, go move somewhere, and immerse yourself in that place, immerse yourself in it completely, be one with it, and you can do great things, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's important because that kind of reminds me of another independent artist that talks on that quite frequently, because that's a common question too, is like, should I move if I can't make it in my own city? And if you really think about it, a lot of the big artists, they came from a small town, and yeah, they left to, like, most of the story is common, like they went to LA to try to make it, they left.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always come back to your hometown. Don't feel like you're, being untrue to that portion of yourself,
Right.
but you're looking for more opportunity to grow, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you touched on that.
For sure. I mean, if that's what it came, I'd be willing to do it. I'm just blessed that, that I'm here in this time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Fairfield is not that far from San Francisco and these places like that, so I was able to make it happen. But I'm still willing to move if that's what it takes. I'm still, like, if I got to, I'll get my family. We'll go wherever we need to, because I feel like, that's what I want from my music anyways, is to keep me mobile and to keep me traveling. And, the way we get to really see what we're made of, and the way our music, how our music really works, is how people respond to it too. So if and that's an opportunity to grow. Like, if I'm doing something and then it hits over here in another region of the world, or and it makes people respond a certain way, then that probably is like an inclination that I should go out there and connect with those people. And in turn, what I want to invite people to think about is like, wow, what kind of art would you end up making if you went there? You might just grow and become a completely different person, and then your music or your art, or whatever your medium is, will become that much better. And that when you do go back to your hometown, then it's like, then you can really make the change that you wanted to make, because you're more universal.
Yeah. I have another question that kind of ties into being an independent artist, but it's also a common question that I've also seen amongst younger independents, because they're still trying to figure it out, right? Is how do you navigate, as being an independent artist, how do you navigate getting paid either to play or to collaborate? And how do you manage putting on the different hats as social media, music videos, all that stuff that ties
Website.
into websites? Yeah.
And be your own representation.
Yeah.
You gotta love it all. You gotta love it. If you don't love it, if you don't love those parts, then it's not for you. But then, like, I just learned to love all of it. But in terms of like the money parts, like, I mean, I feel like there is different stages to that. Because there's so much of this that there's so much reward to this that you can't really measure in money. But like. And then sometimes you got to invest, not really. Sometimes you got to invest a lot, like I'll break bread. I break bread, I'll pay someone if I need to, you know, um, but also, allowing yourself to be creative, to figure out, like you said, like being able to wear different hats, especially if you're thinking about independent artists. And a lot of times what's funny is like we're just we're in the field of rappers, so that's really a lot of the people that we're talking about. Don't just be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Because in other genres, people are doing they are multitasking and doing a lot of different things. A guitar player is figuring out how to set up the amp and do the sound and this and that. And, people are a little bit more versatile in those genres, but it just seems to be that in this field of rap that we become so rigid about what we're willing to do and what we shouldn't do and what we expect. So, I say if you know, I don't know. I would even challenge those people like if it's an issue for you, do you really love it? Because if it's got to be more than just rap. Are you an artist? Like do you love it? I hope that we all can get paid, and I see a day where we all where we all can get paid. I do, and that's not to say I don't. I do get paid. I make money. I sell my CDs. I sell my art quite regularly, enough to keep me busy. Now, is it coming in the amounts that, like I got a Hummer paid for and I got a mansion paid for? No, but it puts some money in my pockets and it keeps me going. And it's like I said, it's enough to keep me engaged with my audience right now, and these are things that we gotta want to work for,
Yeah.
long term. It's a long-term picture, and everything else just like, it's all in the creative field. Make it fun. Make, if you don't do it if it's not fun. Make the social media posts if it's fun, but make it fun for you. Do the website if it's fun for you, like have fun with it. Otherwise it's probably don't do it.
Yeah. I think also is the illusion of being an independent artist means like, oh, like you have to do it all by yourself. But there's a lot of independent artists that have teams.
That's true.
Whether it's their family, whether it's their friends,
Yeah.
people with like-minded interests. There's even managers that you can hire, like we were talking about earlier. You can hire promoters, you can hire, that's all you investing. If you're passionate enough and you're dedicated enough and you understand that you need to make investments to progress and to grow, then it's like a business.
Yeah.
Like a small business person or whatever, you have to take those risks and you have to put in the time and you have to also invest money. Sometimes you might lose it, sometimes you'll gain a lot more. So it's just, is it worth it to you to do that?
That right there, that part, is it worth to you?
What are you worth to yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that you guys both brought up that I want to also hit on again is like, definitely don't feel like you have to try to do everything.
Yeah.
But you can't do everything at once, and it's hard to just consume yourself in everything that you think you need to do.
Right.
But what I learned, like for myself personally, is I can't do everything. I'm only good at doing a few things at a time, one after the other. And then now, like, what I want to learn to do is like focus on what I know I'm good at, and then leave the other stuff to maybe like get help from someone else to help.
Yeah.
So focus on, I guess, what you know you're good at, what you want to improve on, and then like don't be scared to ask for help from some of your friends, family members. Just hire someone else who for sure can do a better job than you can, so you don't have to feel like you have to do everything.
Just have a basic understanding of what those roles are doing.
Yeah.
So that way too, like if you ever become, maybe not crazy mainstream big artist, but if you ever become big, then you understand if you're hiring someone to handle your social media, there's a lot that it's a full-time job just to handle social media postings and all that stuff. So you're understanding and you're not taking for granted anyone that's, if you hire them, put them on your team, their role is just as important as you performing and the other person making merch and, all that other stuff. That's a whole nother thing for when you get there. But if you're just starting out by yourself, it's good to dip your feet into the different pools of what all of this stuff helps make up in being like a representative for your brand, for your music. And you don't have to like necessarily be good at all of it, but just have a basic understanding of it, so that way you can get the ball rolling and get it started for yourself, and then later on you could get some help,
Right. I like that. You don't have to be good at it. Just do it. That's so on point. Like, you don't have to be good at all the things. You don't have to be a master at it, and don't let the thing that you're not good at in the business aspect of getting your music out there or whatever, just managing your career, distract you from your purpose and from what your passion really is. Like, don't let that hinder you from making progress. Just do your best at it and keep it moving. And then, even to speak to you, like how you're talking about, like, yeah, you could work with other people too, and try it out, and
Mhm.
also understand that it's not always going to work with everybody, but that doesn't mean that it was a failure. It's still like it's still an opportunity to grow and to learn, like, your communication skills in being the boss of your vision. Like,
Mhm.
it's just an opportunity to grow more, and being able to, like, impart and share your vision with somebody else too, because it's not a straight line. It's not going to work out with everybody, but that doesn't mean that was time wasted, because you get to learn from it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that reminds me too. I don't think. Well, we didn't really say this. We're going off like personal experience. You two as artists, and then me kind of behind the scenes. But I run my own business as well. Um, but like just letting people out there know, like resources, like
Yeah.
the power of research, being able to effectively research and ask Google a question, but be able to actually get the answers you want, or just go to the library, read some books.
Yeah.
There's tons of artists that have written books. There's a lot of artists today that have their own books.
Yes.
So I think that's powerful. Go check out their websites. Look at, like what's powering what web hosts, right? So I
Yeah.
just think that's powerful too, is like for other artists or anyone watching this that has some sort of entrepreneurial drive to want to like create, income streams with their art or something. Just like where your resources at, either it's people that you're investing in that want to invest in you, vice versa, or like just what you need to research to keep growing your knowledge. I think
Right.
that's like key. And don't forget them libraries exist. Like you got people on call 24/7 all around the world.
Or good old YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube Academy. That's where it's at.
YouTube
Udemy, all that,
Academy. There's so
whatever.
many good interviews.
Coursera.
Yeah.
A lot of
Um,
great documentaries too, like, with people who've had long careers. Like, that's why, like, I like different music too. Like, I like to study different artists and see. I like people who've had long careers. I want to
Yeah.
see people
Yeah.
who've been in it from the time that they were a youngster in their young 20s all the way to the time that they could pass retirement.
Right.
Like to learn from those kind of people.
Oh, and that brings up me to like something else you guys brought up is having someone to like look up to or learn to, a
Yeah.
mentor, or
Mentorship.
every artist probably has their few artists where they're like they did it for you to make you want to be a rapper or like
Right.
an artist in every sense of the word.
But your journey is gonna be different from their journey
definitely,
for
I know,
sure.
but just definitely at least
No.
having an image,
Mhm.
hopefully a better image to look up to than some of the
Mhm.
other mainstream artists.
Yeah.
But it takes
Nobody's perfect.
it takes seeing others do it to make us want to do it. There's no other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, deciphering through that journey, navigating through the life as an artist.
Yep.
Wow.
And there's like so many artists who have done, I mean, even the conversation of like mainstream commercial. I mean, there have been a lot of people who've had great commercial success, and they just operate out the normal mainstream conversation. But there have been people who've had illustrious careers that they're just not in the limelight like that, because they're with their art and they're doing concerts with their fans.
Yeah.
They're keeping it one-on-one. I mean, there's so many different people and artists and musicians to, like, to peep game from, for sure, in different fields.
There's different definitions of success. It's not just because what we think is like, oh, we have to make it, we have to be famous,
Yeah.
but that doesn't necessarily mean success. So I guess like also going back to what's your why you're doing this music, and like how do you define success? What does that look like? and be realistic, because it doesn't look like you driving a freaking Ferrari in like Italy, but you're alone on tour with no friends, no family. You're just, you know what I mean?
funny.
Like, just think about it in
Yeah.
realistic terms. Like, there's a reason why, I mean, you know, so many artists talk about it, you know, because it's not all glamorous, you know. It looks like it, but I think the end story, or like the realistic thing, is we just want to be loved and we want to be accepted,
Yeah.
you know.
I love people, you know, I love people. I mean, you know, I love that you point that out. I mean, it's like definitely like a key, like underlying thing, like like drive as to why we do this and why we do what we do, you know. And like the little kid in me, the teenage 16-year-old boy that wanted to, you know, find a way to fit in and communicate with others, rapping, making art, you know. And I wanted to impress the people who I thought were cool, not necessarily the people that were like, you know, actually like, you know, but, you know, and I wanted to show them that, hey, I'm smart. I got a brain. I did that for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I did that for you, you know, as a point of conversation. So, I mean, I love people. I really do. I love, I'm gonna sound cheesy. I'm gonna sound cheesy as fuck right now, but I love the world. You know what I'm saying? Like I love the world. I love all kinds of people. I love the idea of traveling and meeting people, and you know, and I especially love vibing with people who are different from me. You know, I love vibing with people who are similar to me too, but like
Mm-hmm.
I love being able to relate to somebody and relate, you know, something to them from, you know, from my world, who's completely different from me, you know. So I like, you know, part of I I want to go to different countries. I want to travel to different, you know, I like to travel the world.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Success to me, like, is that for sure, is being able to travel the world multiple times and have like authentic connections with people in those places, friends, maybe even people who I can call family,
Yeah.
and to be able to like open that kind of lifestyle to my son and you know, whatever future kids that me and my wife have afterward too, you know, because I look at it like what I'm doing, I'm just setting the stage really for him to do what he wants to do. And
Yeah.
I believe that you know, I believe and I hope to make some money, you know, like some good money too.
Some wealth, right? To
Yeah,
hand
Yeah.
down.
I hope to do that too.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not the reason why though. Like, it's really because I love it. And you know, I also believe in myself. Like, I believe in what I have to offer and my ability to impact people in a positive way. We need more voices out there in this field of entertainment, media, culture, music, you know, popular culture, to keep it real, keep it light, and just show that you can be cool without having to tear yourself down or tear down the next person, you know. And you know, I think you're cool, you know. That's why, you know, and I want, and it's also about that too. I want to be able to break down walls for other people to do the same the way they need to, you know. So it's just, I'm just passionate about it. It's just what I love, you know. So
True independent artist, for real. Like,
An artist at work.
that's what I'm thinking. Artist at work, perfect definition, and a true independent artist. Go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you, your music.
yes, Señor Gigio. That's Señe. That's the N with the little sazon line over it. ORGIGIO on all streaming platforms. Find me, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at SENORGIGIO. Definitely check out my YouTube. We've been building that up. I've been building it up. Got a plethora of really dope music videos, all in-house. Some cool music videos with this human being here as well. and more to come. And go check out my website, www.senorgigio.guru. Got all my merch on there. You can check out my line of shirts, jackets, hats, all got my art. You can see some of my art. You can buy some CDs. You can download the digital music as well. So yeah.
Well, thank you for being on this podcast and being just full of knowledge and wisdom to share. I've
Thank
been
you.
wanting to
All
interview
my life,
you.
I just want somebody to tell me I'm smart. I didn't, almost failed high school and was got all kinds of F's and shit. Yes, I'm smart. No, I'm just kidding.
You made it. You made it.
You made it onto the Breakaway Artist Society podcast. But no, really, thank you for being on this podcast and just sharing all that knowledge with us and with the viewers.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you guys for listening. This has been the Artists at Work podcast with Señor Gigio.
One love.
One love, peace and love.
Stay safe.
Stay creative.